A very warm welcome, everyone, to the Maritime Education Podcast. Whether this is your first time listening or you are a loyal return listener, it's great to have you on board once again for our latest offering. Today I will be playing you an interview that I made with Sir Robin Knox-Johnson. This podcast is being released on the 40th anniversary of me joining my first ever vessel. On the 3rd of November 1985, I joined the Benhaven, a fairly large for its time container ship in the port of Southampton, where I to this day continue to be a pilot. I joined as a young 16-year-old deck cadet, having studied nautical studies at school and done extensive sailing with my local sailing club in Harwich. A lot of my early passion for sailing was generated by my knowledge of this amazing man who sailed single-handedly non-stop around the world. Sir Robin Knox-Johnson was born in Putney on the 17th of March 1939, and in 1968 he started the Sunday Times Golden Globe race around the world, sailing his 32-foot ketch Suhali, built by hand in India. After 312 days alone at sea, he returned to Falmouth on the 22nd of April 1969 to become the first person in history to sail single-handedly and non-stop around the world. He was a legend to us youngsters in the 80s who were really dedicated to our sailing and who only dreamed of meeting the man who had done that first non-stop solo round the world race. He was recognised by this. He received the Commander of the Order of the British Empire, a CBE, in 1995 and was knighted by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in the same year. I met Sir Robin at a recent event that I attended on behalf of the Honourable Company of Master Mariners, and he was only too pleased to sit down and have a chat with me for my podcast. So please sit back and enjoy hearing about the career of this amazing yachtsman, hearing about how he views safety of yachts in the Solent, and listening to the stories he tells from a bygone era of being a deck officer at sea. I think what's really important in this introduction is to recognise that although Sir Robin has been, if you like, synonymous with the world of sailing, that he is a master mariner and got his master's ticket in 1965, and he puts down his success in that round the world race to his merchant navy training. Something that I don't think enough people recognise when they look at his amazing achievements. Anyway, let's listen to the interview. Right, very good afternoon. I'm here with Sir Robin Knox-Johnson aboard his beautiful vessel this afternoon in Endeavour Quay at Gosport. Robin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Barry.
How are you today? All well?
Feeling pretty good today, yeah.
Feeling pretty good. Weather's taken a bit of a turn, isn't it? A little bit breezy.
Just a bit, but there we are. It's going to rain tomorrow, I think.
Bit of a nasty one coming in over the weekend, I think, aren't we? Bracing ourselves around here. Yeah. Well, my main purpose of talking to Robin this afternoon is to talk about small vessel safety in the Solent, and how Robin and I are both passionate about small vessels staying safe next to large commercial vessels as they come and go from ports of both Portsmouth and Southampton. But before we do, Robin, tell us a little bit about your career. Tell us a little about where you've been, what you've done. Bring everybody up to speed.
Well, Barry, I went to sea at the age of 17, like so many in the Merchant Navy, and did a 4-year apprenticeship. Okay, I got a bit of remission, but I took second mates in 1961 and rejoined my company, British India Steam Navigation Company, and went to spent the next 4.5 years running from Bombay to Basra, with 17 ports in between. But it was a fun run. It was quite romantic in those days because Dubai was a muddy creek. The only place that had berths we could go alongside was Kuwait, and they were new. Bahrain, Qatar. We used to anchor in Muscat. There was nothing there. In fact, it was Bombay, Karachi, Kuwait and Basra were the only, Koromashar occasionally. That's the only place we could go alongside. We were basically taking people to go and work, deck passengers.
Okay.
Taking people to go and work in the oil industry and such like in the Gulf. So it was a fun run. It was an interesting run at the time because we didn't have any of this modern stuff. And so there was a certain romance about it which made it quite exciting.
Yeah. As Robin and I were talking this afternoon, I was telling Robin that my grandfather worked for British India as a pharmacist on the Rajula. So we have quite a lot sort of in common anyway.
Well, the old Raj, I mean, she was built in about 1924. And one of three, but she survived, and we kept her going till about 1970-something. Twin steam reciprocating engines, and she survived that big cyclone in the Bay of Bengal by going astern for 4 hours because we couldn't get the bow round.
Yes.
But she was one of the few ships that didn't go ashore.
My grandfather was on board, and he wrote home at the time to describe what happened during that. So scary times. So on from your merchant, when did you get your master's certificate?
Master's 65.
65.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we didn't get the leave in those days, so we were much younger.
Oh, you galloped the sea time through.
Yeah, we just had lots of sea time,
Okay.
and I could have taken it a year. I could have taken it earlier, but I was building my boat in India.
Okay.
So I came home, took my master's ticket, spent 5 months in the Navy, and then went back and sailed my boat home from India.
Isn't that amazing? Actually, you think about that because I mean, it took me I think it was about 7.5, maybe 8 years to accrue the sea time for masters, but it didn't take you quite so long. Not because you didn't need as much, but because leave in those days was much shorter.
It did take me as long. I was 26.
Oh, really? Oh,
So,
okay. It did. Oh, sorry.
I mean, we had to do 7.5 years sea time before we could take a master's
really?
ticket.
Oh, gosh, that was much longer. Oh, okay.
And so it had to be sea time. You know, your leave didn't count.
Yeah.
You had to be on articles.
Yes.
Ship's
Same with
articles.
us, yes.
So I don't think anything much has changed. Well, they have changed now, but those days that was the system.
Yeah.
And as soon as you could, you went up and got your tickets.
Yeah. I think that's to me, I sometimes feel that's a big difference. Is that you and I were going through the moment the sea time chinked up. That was it. We were off to get the next certificate, weren't we?
Yeah.
You know, nobody holds us back. And I think now I see a lot of people. You know, they get the sea time in, but they pace themselves a little bit. But
well, I mean, it was £2 a month extra. You see, if you got a ticket,
you
your
go.
master's ticket. So
There you go.
didn't mean you were a captain,
No,
but
you just got your
at least you
£2.
got the master's ticket.
And an extra half stripe, I think, wasn't it? On the
Well, we didn't
Or
in
you still
BI.
in PM?
No, it depended on what rank you were in BI.
Right.
So 4, 3, 2, 1. Captain, mate, second mate, third mate. So even if you got a master's ticket, it didn't count. But on the whole, most of us would be coming up to chief officer by the time we got master's tickets.
Right.
And my last big ship I was with, before I was just relief mate on ships, Kenya, I was first officer.
Okay.
So I was a captain, chief officer, first officer.
Right.
And all of us the three of us had master's tickets.
Okay.
With passenger liner. 2 people go ill, there's still someone qualified to be in command.
And that's a principle that even on cruise ships today they still follow.
Yes.
Captain, staff captain, chief officer, and first officer. Really.
Yes.
So they've got 4 masters tickets there, as you say, should the worst happen. So 65 for masters, and then along came 1968, and you decided to do a quick circumnavigation of the globe.
Well, yes, I went back to BI after masters, and the Navy, sailed home. It took me 18 months, and I joined the Kenya.
So you sailed home from
India.
India.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Ran out of money in South Africa, Durban, saw an advert for relief master on a little ship going up to Lorenzo Marks and Beyer, applied, got it. So there I am, 26, and I've got a command, popping up and down this southeast African coast. Then I got jaundice, so they sacked me rather than pay for me to go to hospital.
Oh, really?
So I spent 5 months stevedoring, just to earn some money and wait for the right season to go around the Cape. And I learned a lot from that. I introduced a new method of loading newsprint, They offered me the job as assistant manager, but I didn't take it. And if I'd taken it, I'd never have sailed around the world. So,
there we are.
but I learned a lot and I enjoyed it. It was an interesting experience. We worked bloody long hours. You know, and people whinge these days. We'd take the men on at 5. You might still be working at 9 in the evening.
Yeah, right. Okay.
They were long days, but it was a fun job. I enjoyed it. Then I went back to BI in the Kenya, and then I was going to go into the Navy for 5 months again because I was a List 1 reservist, and so I was relief mate on a couple of ships and on the cadet ship for a bit. And I'd been on the cadet ship as a cadet anyway, so as a cadet instruction officer. And then I went into the Navy, and by this time I was preparing to go around the world. I decided to go. And during my time on the frigate Duncan, the Sunday Times suddenly announced I was in a race they were organising to go around the world non-stop. Chichester, remember, had gone round with one stop. So what was left? Go around non-stop. Now, if we didn't do it first, the French would. We'd never hear the last of it.
Absolutely.
So I decided it ought to be a Brit. So I tried to get sponsorship. Well, you try and get sponsorship when you're sitting on a passenger liner in Mombasa. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any sponsorship. Well, I did. I got £5 voucher from Cadbury's. And much more usefully, 120 cans of beer from Tennant's.
Oh, there we go.
That was it. And off I went. Bit of in debt a bit, but I didn't tell the bank what I was up to. And off I went. And 312 later, I returned, and no one else had finished. 9 set out. No one else finished. So I became the first to do it. And I thought that was appropriate. It should be a Brit. The disappointment, in a way, BI made a bit out of it, but, you know, Merchant Navy was still a big organisation then, and the Merchant Navy didn't make much out of it, and they should have done, I think, to say, listen, this is how we train our people. Because I put my success down entirely to my time in the Merchant Navy, particularly the cadet time, when you had to take an EDH and you had to be a seaman. You learned your trade, and I'm still convinced that's what got me round. It was that ability that I learned as a cadet, and then subsequently, obviously, watchkeeping, navigating. Well, that's my job. You know, it's like having scrambled eggs for breakfast, isn't it? Yeah. I didn't worry about that. I mean, did find that Australia was about 2 miles out, but otherwise everything was fine. But, you know, it's an interesting trip. But I did feel a Brit ought to do it first, so that took that away. Was going to go and rejoin BI, but it disappeared into P&O, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I left, and I joined some other people. We built Mercury Marina on the Hamble, and then I ran Port Hamble for a bit. And then I built St Catherine's Dock as the marina in London. And I built True Marina, designed one down in Falmouth. And I sort of got into that business for a while. But I kept on racing because I enjoyed racing.
Yeah.
And I kept on being in the reserves. So, but that's basically it. I mean, in my career, I kept going to sea whenever I could. I loved particularly long distance racing. You know, I get in my stride after about 3 days, and now I'm settled now. Now let's get on with it.
And that's what you currently do. You run the Clipper yachts here in Gosport.
I do indeed. We've done that for 30 years now. People don't realise it. We've trained and sent across an ocean over 7,000 people.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, more than 50% are non-Brits.
Oh, really?
So I explained to a cabinet minister that actually I was very good for Britain's balance of payments. But yeah, I mean, we're coming up to we've got our 14th race going on at the moment. They're going to arrive in Cape Town early next week.
Excellent.
2 days ahead of schedule, of course, but as we know, sailing boats have destinations, not ETAs. And they've had perfect winds, so they're coming in heavy.
Oh, great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But no, I've done it. I've got a heck of a good team, and they're all very experienced. And, you know, I'll take them sailing. I mean, we go sailing together. Why not? They're friends, you know. They may work for me, but they are friends.
Yeah.
And I enjoy their company. And if they're no good, they don't stay. So I've got, I forget how many now, I've been with them more than 20 years. But they're solid mates.
Excellent. And
people I can trust and rely upon. And I just don't worry about things a lot now because I don't have to.
No, that's a great position to be in.
It is, actually.
And it's a lot of it's down to leadership and training as well, isn't it? You know, these people don't just materialise out of nowhere. You do have to give them, some guidance to get your team to that level where you can sit back with your hand on your heart and say that?
Well, Barry, you've been at sea. You know as well as I do that the best way of training a person is not to lean over their shoulder.
Yeah.
I remember with the Shield Hall, we were short of masters, and I was taking her out quite often, which I loved, by the way. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think she's a lovely ship. And we had two guys, they were experienced ship's captains, but they hadn't handled the Shield Hall. And I thought, well, I'm officially in charge, so I went the other side of the bridge and left them to get on with it. Because there's nothing worse than someone breathing down your neck. And of course, the result was they handled it brilliantly.
Yeah.
No problems at all. But if I'd been leaning over their shoulders, they'd never have got the confidence.
No, absolutely.
And I work exactly the same with clipper. If you're teaching someone to steer, after a while you've got them getting the hang of it. And it's different on a sailing boat because the power of the sails is considerable. And it will suddenly make you yaw or pay off or something. And you've got to learn to feel that coming. I say, feel it through your legs. You'll feel the boat after a while, and then you'll do it without thinking. You'll be reacting before it even happens.
Yeah.
Now, I can teach them so much, and then wander away.
Yeah.
They're going to make a mistake. They're almost certain to make a mistake. And you go back and make a joke of it. Say, okay, what you get wrong? But don't scream and shout at them. They'll lose their nerve. They're now frightened. They'll never learn. You've got to be patient, and you've got to be close enough to stop a disaster, but far enough to make them feel they've got the weight.
That's exactly what I say to pilots that trip with me. I mean, I've been a pilot now for a long time, 25 years. Yeah. And the youngsters that trip with me, I say to them, I am here, but don't worry, I will intervene before it gets serious. But the rest is you. Yep. You need to learn about the ship. Yep. You need to learn your own skills, your own limits. So I'm right here, but you crack on, you get on with it. However, please be assured that I will be here and I will intervene. We talked earlier on about my mentor, Gordon Thornton, and Gordon was just the same with me, and he was with British India, same as yourself, Robin. And he was exactly the same with me when I was coming through training. Yeah. He took a step back, and I used to be so impressed that if I was making a bit of a hash of berthing, Gordon would step in, give 3 or 4 quick commands, reset the ship, and I'd expect Gordon to then berth it. And he would just take a step back and say, why are you looking at me? I've just reset it for you, Barry. Try again. And I used to think that was so amazing, and here I am 25 years later.
And that's how you build up your confidence, isn't it?
Exactly. It certainly is, sir. It certainly is.
It's these bits of paper that everyone insists on these days, they don't beat what you learn through your hands.
Yes.
And seamanship is learned through your hands.
Absolutely. It certainly is. It certainly is. Well, as we said before, you and I would be quite capable of swinging the lamp on your boat here in Endeavour Quay for a long time. But really like to talk about small vessel safety in the Solent, because there's no better man to discuss it with than yourself, with all of your sailing experience, and me with my recent large ship experience in the Solent. So we've got two guys here talking about safety of small vessels in and around the Solent, because the Solent's a busy area. A lot of big ships coming through. And it was interesting, I found what you said earlier on, that you found it disappointing that the Merchant Navy didn't make more of you going around the world single-handedly. Do you think in those days there was a bit of an us and them, yachtsmen and those that worked on ships, or yourself excluded? Was there?
There was with the Merchant Navy.
Yeah.
No question about it. I mean, I remember a guy coming up to me before I set out. I had the boat in Souters. I was on the frigate at the time. And I'd gone over to spend a day, and he came up, "You this Johnny who thinks you're going to sail single-handed non-stop round the world?" I said, "Well, I'm going to try this." He said, "Well, it can't be done in any case you couldn't do it." Now, he's never met me before. Yeah. I thought, you pathetic creature. And I said to him, I was a bit cross. I said, "You're not a school teacher, are you?" He said, "No, certainly not. Why?" I said, "You'd be very depressing for your students." "You can't say that." "I just effing have."
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm sure he went to his club that night and said, "I told that whippersnapper." And I'm sure 11 months later, Barry, he would say, "Of course I gave him advice before he left."
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's one of life's failures, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't want you to succeed because it makes him feel even worse about himself.
Yes.
And someone said, "Did it stir you up?" I said, "No, frankly, I felt sorry for him."
Yeah, yeah.
And it was there. On the other hand, I suppose in a way I was quite lucky, because I got back into sailing once I left the sea, I call the sea, the proper sea,
Yes.
Merchant Navy sea. And I spent a season racing with Max Aitken on his Crusade, lovely big boat. I got to know people in the sailing fraternity, and there's some lovely people there. There's some really good.
Yeah,
there are, like in every profession, there's some you'd say, well, I'm just going to avoid you in future. But on the whole, there's some really good people, and I got into racing, and I loved it. I mean, I was very lucky. I was there with some very good people. We had our fair share of successes. You have your failures, but never mind. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the competitive side of it very much. And I used to box, so no point in being second if you're a boxer.
Yes, absolutely.
So I got really into what you might call the local sailing, particularly around the Solent, because an awful lot of it took place here. And it did. I remember one occasion we were on, in that crew of 9, 3 of us were Merchant Navy, funnily enough. And we were coming across, and an Olympic gold medalist saying, it's all right, that ship stopped for us, we're crossing the channel. The 3 of us jammed in the hatch, trying to get on deck. He doesn't stop for anyone.
I think what I've tried to do in the Solent is to try and bring the two groups closer together. And in my I've been involved in small vessel safety as a pilot now for almost as long as I've been a pilot. And my goal has been to try and bring pilots, especially because they are generally the ones with the conduct of the ship around here, pilots, but merchant mariners and yachtsmen together to help one understand the other. And sometimes I think that that's half the problem, is that some merchant seafarers don't understand sailing, and sailors don't understand merchant seafarers. So bringing them together has always been my goal. Is that something that you sort of run with, that the two could do with knowing more about the other?
I would totally agree with you, Barry. I mean, there's plenty of people out there who know exactly what they're doing and they're safe. But I'm afraid there's others who aren't so experienced, and they will make mistakes. And they won't stop and think, oh, what's that ship doing? How can it manoeuvre? Now, we know perfectly well, if you're bringing a big container ship in and out, you can't manoeuvre that much, especially that big hoop round the sands.
On the West Bramble.
Well, when we play cricket.
Yes, that's it, yeah, we play cricket. Yeah.
But, you know, you haven't got much manoeuvring ability, have you? I mean, there's that wonderful dent in the bank up near Culshot, isn't it, where the Queen put a bow into the mud.
Up by West Bramble, where
That's
the
right.
QE2 decided to...
Well, you can still see where she went in.
Yes, you can do on the surveys. Yes, you certainly can.
You know, and it's very difficult. I came in on her once, and I was on the bridge. We joined her with the pilot just to come in. She came in through the Needles Channel, which was interesting.
Yes, they used to, didn't they? Yes.
And we're on the bridge, and there's a yacht in front of us. Now, we can't do less than 14 knots, apparently, because she was diesel by then, I think. They'd switched her from steam turbine. And there's this yacht. And the captain just turned around and said, I can't avoid him. And he couldn't. And you just think, is that yachtsman looking behind him? Is he aware of what's going on around him? And you just think, this is an example of what shouldn't happen.
Yes.
And how do we get that point across to an awful lot of people? It doesn't matter if you're repeating it to people who know, as long as you get into 2 or 3 who didn't know, and they're now going to be safer.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I think it's terribly important. You know, I say to my clipper skippers, I say, look, when you're out there, you get well clear of merchant shipping or any traffic, merchant or Royal Navy, I don't mind. You just keep clear of it. And just don't get near it. Be sensible. If you've got to tack and it's going to take you longer, too bad, do that, but just don't go near them. I also tell them to avoid races, because the guys are out there racing, it's their holiday, we're probably training. Well, if you can see a line of boats racing, go behind the last one. Or if there's a big gap, go through it. But don't get in their way and muck up their race. You don't need to do it. It just gets us a bad reputation, and that affects all of your careers subsequently, because people should say when you finish with me, oh, you were a clipper skipper, you must be very good. One of you makes a mistake, and you damage that reputation. So it's in your interests to make sure you are good, and don't let me down, because if you do, I'll probably hear about it, which I did on one case where one of my yachts got in the way of the car ferry in Cowes Harbour.
Uh-huh.
And Stuart McIntosh, I think, was
That's
our
the
master.
Cowes Harbour master, yes.
Yeah. And he rang me and said, Robin, one of your boats got in the way of the thing. Can you have a word with him? I said, he did what? I said, write down, when he got back in, I said, write down what went on. And he said, oh, well, the passenger ferry was in breach of 3 of the coal rigs. Now, Barry, you know you don't take on a master mariner at the coal rigs, because we had to know them by heart.
Yes, we do.
And so I said, and what about the bylaws? Oh, what? Pack your bags. You've let every one of my clipper skippers down, and you've let me down. And I rang Stuart and said, I've sacked him. He said, well, that's a bit severe. I said, no, he's let the company down. No, I won't have it. And if I don't maintain standards, there won't be any standards. People have got to know I expect the best out of you. If you made a mistake, tell me about it. And if I can see, well, okay, this went wrong, I get it, don't do it again. Do it twice. Now look here, I'm not sure you're suited to me. Because if I don't keep that going, how are these people going to react? You know, we've got the little ferry goes across the harbour here, the Gosport ferry. If you see it coming through, stop and wait for it. Don't get in its way. Keep out of the way. They're earning their living doing that. You don't need to be in their way.
Yeah. Do you feel that sometimes we have to drag everybody back to basics? I feel that sometimes you mentioned there looking over your shoulder and looking behind you when you were on the QE2.
Yeah.
I mean, my trick when I'm coming in on a big ship, particularly if I'm approaching a great big patch of yachts, is I blow the whistle.
Yes.
Just not for any reason, not say I'm doing anything, and I don't blow it so to be construed for any other kind of signal. I just make a noise with the whistle because I know that when I make a noise with the whistle, 500 guys on the helm will turn around and look, and there's a ship there.
Yeah.
But they should be keeping that lookout effectively, and I do feel sometimes we should drag everybody back to basics.
Coal rigs, rule 5.
There we are. Yeah.
Keep
Every
a lookout.
vessel at all times.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. All right, as a single hander, I couldn't, but that's a different story. But frankly, if you're in the Solent, there's no excuse for not keeping a proper lookout because it is crowded, as you rightly say. And we have to realise we've got 2 commercial ports here. You know, apart from the ferries, we've got 2 commercial ports here. And an awful lot of people's livelihoods depend on those ports.
Yes, absolutely.
We cannot, just because I'm out enjoying myself on my yacht, does not mean I get in the way of those boats.
We got the other thing, I think, with regards to pulling people back to basics is the weather. And what I found is that you're not going to sea tomorrow, are you?
No.
I'm not going to sea tomorrow. I am on Saturday, but that's as a pilot. But you and I sat here, and we both knew that the weather was turning a little bit nasty tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's because you and I watch the weather. We just watch what's happening. Do you feel that sometimes that's another thing that perhaps yachtsmen need to do is just keep an eye? There are so many weather sources now.
Oh, it's huge nowadays, isn't it? I mean, not quite sure what the wind's saying.
Do what you want.
Just go Bramblebank.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the weather on Bramblebank?
Yeah.
Well, that gives me an indication. 25 knots. Do I need to go out? Because if something goes wrong and it's 25 knots of wind, I'm losing my options for safety. Do you remember the Maria Assumpta went ashore on the north coast of Cornwall?
No, I don't.
Well, she lost an engine. She was going in close to show off. She was a square rigger. And she lost an engine. Now, instead of heading out to get more sea room, he carried on, then he lost the other engine. And he went on the rocks and 2 people were killed. You know, we know if one thing goes wrong with your plan, change your plan or have a plan B to allow for it. But don't carry on with your plan A because something's gone wrong with your boat. You can no longer safely carry out plan A. So change your plan.
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, that's the execution part of passage planning, isn't it? We can all plan to do a passage safely, but when the parameters change, such as engine failure, such as the forecast changes, we need to adapt to it. And that's why we have that stage of passage planning there, is to alert us to changes that are going on.
Well, you think you're out sailing your boat, there's been a bad forecast, You think, going to be 4-7. If my mainsail blows, how am I going to steer this boat? And all right, I've got an engine, I can donk. But supposing that goes, I've got a headsail, probably.
Yes.
Now I'm in serious difficulties, whether I like it or not. All right, I might get myself out of it, but I've lost an awful lot of my safety options. Time to go was the moment it started looking bad.
Yes.
Don't go out in it.
Yes.
There's no need.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I must admit, it is one of the things that I find quite staggering. I'm driving a, 300-meter ship along. The wind to me at 30 knots is probably not having that much of an effect on me until I come to get on the pilot ladder, of course. But, to a yachtsman, particularly one that doesn't need to be there, it's not a commercial reason to be taking your yacht anywhere. You want to go out for a sail in the solar, but you've got 30 knots of wind. It's time to maybe say, do we really need to make this passage? And that's what passage planning surely is all about, isn't it?
That's right. And in 30 knots, don't go.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say to an awful lot of people, if it's 20 knots, you're probably all right. But if it's going to be 25 and gusting more, worry about it.
Yes.
Those gusts can hurt. They can blow things out.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of back to basics that yachtsmen can do, and if I'm honest, some master mariners as well, is just that initial risk assessment of what you're actually going to do with your ship, or your yacht. Is that actual sitting down and saying, yep, all right, under a normal circumstance, a quick trip across the Cowes on a Saturday afternoon is a nice thing to do. But let's just sit and think about it today and look at the forecast, look at the tides, look at the shipping if we can. Right. At ABP, we have an amazing website with all the shipping movements on it. And if there's any reason why your passage is a little bit riskier than you need it to be, then either don't do it or, as you quite rightly say, find a plan B.
That's right.
Find a plan B.
I think, we were talking to the Merchant Navy. Our job is to get safely to our destination, and not to take risks. And it was a good attitude. And on the whole, that's what we did.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you think there is possibly a risk, before you set off, you just go through. Now, suppose I'm going along and the engine packs up. All right, I'm a sailing boat, I can sail. That's fine. All right, but then what's the conditions? What's the tide doing? Well, sailing should be fine, not a problem. Until I want to manoeuvre into port, then I probably want my engine. But I can think about how to do that. Have I got my anchor ready? Can I let it go quickly if I need to? These are the little things. I mean, I had one of my boats go up on the beach here, and he could have sailed in.
Right.
He didn't. He lost his engine. He could have sailed in and dropped his pick up towards Fareham Creek. He'd been out of everyone's way, and we could have got out there and sorted him out. No. He sat there and he went on the beach. And fortunately, one of the tugs was handy and pulled him off. Now, the owner of the tug company, I rang him up, thanked him, and said, thanks so much, very good of you. By the way, Englishman, that's the whole company, isn't it? He said, how do you know that? I said, yeah, you've forgotten I was at sea. They were all called things like that.
Yes, they were, weren't they? Yeah.
And he said, oh, yeah. He said, look, I'm not going to charge you for it. He said, but will you do me a favour? I said, sure, what do you want? He said, can I put 2 of my apprentices on your Part 1 training? I said, yep, you've got it.
There we are.
Now, that's the way we should work together.
That's the way we should work together,
now,
absolutely.
They went away, when they rejoined their tug, with a better understanding of what yachtsmen are putting up with. I was able to say thank you in a useful way, and I've never forgotten that. I've always been grateful to him for it. I was furious with the skipper for going on the beach. Of course, I got a call from you-know-who saying they wanted to report when I was still recovering the boat, and I said, I'll write a report when I've got the boat back. Yeah. You can wait.
Yeah. But that's a great example, and that's something that I've tried to promote whilst I've been here in the Solent, is bringing everybody together. So you've got, a bit of you scratch my back, I scratch yours, but it's beyond that. It's about mariners coming together. It's about, yachtsmen and master mariners and, commercial seafarers understanding one another's issues. And then when one does have an issue, coming and lending that extra hand, and in return being able to put 2 guys on your clipper ships to get your side, your perspective of what's going on. And I think that more of that needs to happen in the Merchant Navy. So, what are your plans for next season, next sailing season? Are you any big plans, Robin, coming up? Or
not particularly. As you can see, we're sitting here, and you can see from the mess that I'm in the middle of refit.
She's a fine vessel, even in refit state.
Well, I went to Greenland this year, and a few things went wrong, so I'm sorting them out.
Right.
Get it right. The Clipper race is on now. I like to be around.
Yeah.
All right, the boat's going to arrive in Cape Town. We're not going out to Cape Town. They don't need to. We've got the race director there, the deputy race director, and the race manager, all of whom have skippered boats around the world for me. And they work for me. Well, the race director's been with me at least 12 years.
Oh, cool.
They're good, solid people. I don't worry about them. They can look after the boats there and deal with it. The maintenance team goes out to do all the maintenance. We always send our own maintenance team because it saves an awful lot of time and trouble. Someone said, it must cost you a lot in airfares and hotels. I said, it costs, but it's cheaper than using locals who don't understand the boats and would put their finger on the problem.
In the long run, absolutely.
It pays us.
Yeah.
It really pays us.
Yeah.
So I won't be going out to many of the ports. I'll probably go to China because if I don't go, they'll feel slightly insulted. Chinese are very, why isn't Robin here?
Yeah.
Okay, Robin's coming. So, other places doesn't matter so much. So I'll probably be hanging around. I'll probably potter around the Sonant, depending on where the boats are, as long as I can keep in touch with them. I mean, I can pick up my phone and call them. I mean, it's marvellous. Modern communications.
Yeah.
Communications. But I'll probably potter. I might sort of wander over to the France or something, or down to the cities, or if I feel there's a gap and I can keep in contact, I can do that. And then next winter, it's getting cold, isn't it, Barry?
It is getting cold.
I think I'll go to the Cape Verdes next winter.
There we are.
Get some heat.
There you go. That sounds like a plan to me.
Back in BI. Get some heat.
That's it. Yeah, get some heat out there. It is getting chilly. I think it's one of the things that I notice. I've been a pilot for so long now that the winters. You gauge your career, how many winters you've got left. And I think when you start counting how many winters you've got left till you retire, that means one, it's getting cold, and two, perhaps it's time to start thinking about it. Robin, it's been a real pleasure chatting to you this afternoon.
Well, I've got a question for you.
Oh,
well, no,
go ahead,
I've
sir.
always admired the pilots because it's actually a very dangerous job.
It can be, yeah.
And people don't realise that. I mean, I knew a pilot down in Falmouth who got crushed. A lovely guy. Oh, 50 years ago, but lovely bloke. And it was one of the risks of the job. You jump onto the pilot ladder, and if that pilot boat lifts up, suddenly you can be crouched. I mean, it is a dangerous job. And the most dangerous part, actually, is getting up that pilot ladder or coming down it.
Or coming down it, it's even worse, yes.
It is, because, let's face it, pilot ladders, I mean, we used to make them as cadets.
They haven't changed.
They haven't changed, have they?
No.
In 60 years, they're still 70 years. God, I mean, 70 years, they haven't changed. We still make them out of the same bits of wood and the same rope.
They do.
And okay, they're efficient, they work, but it is a dangerous job.
It is.
And you get up on the bridge. You've got some idea of the boat you're going to take, haven't you? So you know roughly what a propulsion is.
Yeah. The captain gives you a pilot card, so you get all that detail.
You know what propulsion is. Means she's got a prop, or she's got something else, got bow thrusters and everything else. But you're still on a ship you've not piloted before.
Could be, yeah.
And I've always thought, that is quite a challenge, because you don't know until you start to manoeuvre her exactly how she'll respond. And it'll depend too on how she's loaded.
Yes.
How much freeboard she's got.
Absolutely.
So you've got all these factors you've got to take into account, which people don't realise. You see a big blow going in the Solent, and you actually see the ship sighting.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't you? You say, well, now that ship's coming down. I say to my people, that ship's coming down the channel. Should be blown this way a bit. I think we'll just alter it. I remember crossing the Thames once with one of my skippers, and we're going from Sheerness across towards Southend. And there was a ship coming outbound. And I said, he's coming outbound. He said, oh, well, I'll alter a couple of degrees. I said, 20. He said, why? He needs to know you've altered.
That's such a good point you've just made there.
And they don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
You've got to let the other guy know what your intentions are. And the only way is to make it bloody obvious.
Yeah.
Especially in
so
So now that pilot on that ship says, I know what he's doing. He's altered course like that. I can see it. He won't see 5 degrees.
Yeah.
But he'll see 20. And that is something that people need to master and realise. I'm coming across. It looks like it's going to be close. Actually, I'm not risking it. I'm going to tack.
Send the right signal to the people on that ship.
That's right. He now knows I'm not in his way. That's so important.
If you could see how red the faces on some captains go as you approach events like Cowes Week or round the island,
God, yes.
God forbid you're anywhere near. Well, we close the channel for round the island, but even arriving there for the finishers, the look on the captain's face when they see all those yachts in front of them, they really do feel the pressure. So early action doesn't just take the pressure off the pilot, who's probably kind of used to it if he's in the Solent, but takes the pressure off that captain who may never have seen that many sailing yachts in front of him ever. Fishing vessels, yes, but not sailing
Well, it's
vessels.
such a small space.
No.
That's because people don't realise too there are clear zones around ships in the channel.
Yes, in the Thorn Channel, yes, absolutely.
You're meant to keep well clear. What's it? 1,000 metres.
1,000 metres ahead and 100 metres either side. That's right. Yeah.
And in some ways, 100 metres each side is probably a bit. Well, I know it's crowded.
You're
I
right.
wouldn't like to go that close.
No, absolutely
personally.
not.
I'd want to get out of it.
For a start, I think if you're a yachtsman and you're getting that close, you'll probably find that the wind flowing down the side of the ship starts to affect
it's going to affect
your
you.
sailability anyway, doesn't it?
Indeed it could. Yeah. And, a big empty tanker coming out, there's a lull behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your sails go everywhere.
Absolutely.
So do you want to be where your sails aren't giving you power and you're rather close? No, thank you.
Exactly. I think as well, I mean, you're probably the same as me in your thinking here, that we two guys here talking, yourself, very, very experienced yachtsman, myself, a very experienced pilot. We've got experience, and I always think that one of the important things, and hopefully people listening to this podcast will appreciate it, is that we send that experience on. I've used to find that a lot of prima donnas in our worlds, the world of yachting and the world of who just want to keep that ability to themselves, just to make them look the best in their industry. The passing down of experience as to what's happening is something that I feel so passionate about. We should never die full of experience. We should die empty of experience because we've passed it on to others.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And we try and work like that here because we're training people. 40% of our crews have never been on a boat before.
Right.
Now, my job is to encourage them and to teach them. It's 4 weeks training before they go off on the race, and this is to make them safe. And one of the things we do every time is a man overboard drill. We carry these dummies because they weigh about 75 kilos. You try and pull them in, you're learning now a body is heavy. And we keep doing it, and they say, oh, come on, Sir Robin, we've done this before. Why have we got to do it again? To remind you not to fall overside in the first place.
It's experience that teaches, and experience that gives them that, that ability to understand while they're doing it so often.
That's right.
Listen, Robin, this isn't to make you feel bad. There is a punchline to it. I was born in 1969. So I was born the year that you arrived back into the United Kingdom as the first person to sail single-handedly, non-stop around the world. British person, as you said, quite rightly, as it should have been. But I started to learn to sail when I was 7 or 8 years old, which is just 7 years after you had done that amazing feat. And so your story was what was inspired kids of my age to go into sailing, because it was still a very new story. It's still an amazing story today. But you were so inspirational to children of my age. And to think that I'd be sat here on your boat 48 years later or whatever it is, shooting the breeze with you, talking about it.
The lamp is swinging, Barry.
It certainly has been, isn't it? It's truly been amazing.
But you learned at 7. See, I didn't.
Oh, really?
The war was just over. I didn't learn to sail until I joined the Merchant Navy.
Ah.
And people didn't realise in those days that we had to pass a lifeboatman's ticket. And we had to show we could sail a lifeboat. And so all these yachtsmen sort of think, oh, Merchant Navy know nothing about sailing. Yes, we did. We may not have been that good, but we knew enough to sail a lifeboat if your ship sank to safety. You know, and I was lucky. I was on a cadet ship where they took the crew off and manned it entirely with 39 of us. 39 of us. And we had a whaler, and we were encouraged to take it out in port if opportunities existed.
Yes,
then they gave us 2 dinghies,
yeah.
and one of those dinghies was mine. And woe betide any other cadet who took that dinghy out. That was my dinghy. And wherever we could, you know, we were on the East Africa run. You know, wherever we could, Mombasa would go sailing, Dar es Salaam, Tanga, Zanzibar, Mtwara, we'd go sailing. Wherever we got the opportunity, you know, you'd say to the mate, can I go sailing this afternoon? Oh, we're going.
Yeah.
All right, sir. I'll do a bit of chipping instead.
Well, just to make you feel a little bit better, my second ship was an old bulk carrier called the Ben Hope. She had 1 diesel and 1 sailing lifeboat. So she had 1 of each.
Yeah.
She was a very, very old bulk carrier.
Yeah.
So we used to break out the sail and sail every now and again the lifeboat. I say every now and again, the chief officer didn't like us to do it because the holes in the sail were obvious.
Right.
Used to be able to hide them from the Department of Transport. They came by wrapping the sail up in its boom. But yeah, we used to break the sails out every now and again. So yeah, that's incredible. Yeah,
we used to have lifeboat races.
In the merchant navy.
There were 3 watches on the ship, and we had 6 lifeboats. You know, standard class 7 merchant ship. So we had the 2 little ones. One was a motor lifeboat, as you say, but we had 4 of the big ones. 3 watches, lifeboat each, and the signal we given from the bridge, and we'd have to race, sailing race, and we'd have a rowing race as well. God, it was hard work. But you know, we were encouraged to do this boat work, and it was very useful training for us.
Yes, absolutely.
It really was.
Yeah.
We got to understand boats.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember. I went up the South Tyne side, and I can remember rowing up and down the Tyne.
Yeah.
In a lifeboat.
Yeah.
As part of my student. We didn't actually. I think we were one of the first groups of cadets that didn't actually have to learn to sail as a cadet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we still had to learn to row as cadets, and that are part of our lifeboat certificate. We had to conduct the lifeboat under oars.
Yes.
We never had to conduct it under sail. So somewhere in between, you know, that had been taken out. But no, it's that experience, I think, that makes the seafarer.
I mean, I do remember doing my lifeboat certificate. I mean, we certainly had to row. I'm not sure if we actually checked on our sailing, but we were sailing the lifeboats anyway, so it didn't matter.
My training record book had a signature in it, I think, for sailing a sail a lifeboat. I think that's all it said was sail a lifeboat. It didn't say reach, tack, or whatever. It just said sail. And I think I got a signature in there on my second ship. And I was one of the few. Everybody else put NA in there, not applicable, because they're diesel. And I think I went out one day and said to the chief officer, sign that quick, because there's not going to be many more people that are going to get that signed.
Well, that's true, isn't it? You know, you think the way things have changed. Gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Things we did in those days, you know, you think about it. Going up the foremast with some gold paint for the truck.
No.
You're on a bosun's chair made of a bit of wood with 4 holes in it. There's no safety line. You get to the top, and we had a seamanship instructor, was a NZS bosun, brilliant guy. God, we worshipped him. I saw him once lift a 45-gallon drum of prosomit onto a hatch. We didn't argue with him. But, you know, you're up there, you've now got no safety line on, you're holding onto the mast, you're right at the top of the mast with one arm, you've got the paint pot, you're trying not to spin it, because he'll yell at you if you do. You're now trying to paint the truck, and you think about it now and think, health and safety would have had a fit.
Yes, absolutely.
But we didn't fall off.
Yeah, well, we didn't.
But it has moved on. It
has moved on, and yeah. Those of you listening to the podcast, put a safety harness on when you go aloft.
Yes.
Put a safety harness. And I think for those of you who didn't understand what Robin was trying to describe there, that's the top of the foremast that used to paint gold.
Yep.
Used to be an ornate part of the top of the foremast where the stem jack used to fly.
That's it.
That had gold on it.
That's right. Well,
I'm showing my age now.
Yeah, well, you are a bit. But we had one captain on one of the old M's. They were scrapped before I joined the company. And they'd been built for the Manchester Ship Canal, so they could actually drop their topmast. Yeah. Anyway, they're off somewhere, and there's the truck on the foremast, and a seagull lands on it and shits. And it lands on the captain's cap. He's furious. He has the topmast dropped, and he puts a bit of wire over the truck like that. Mm-hmm. So every time the seagulls came into land, they tripped over.
Tripped over and off they went.
You can cut
that. Cut that out.
He was renowned. But another point, I mean, I can remember with the third mate, who I saw 3 weeks ago, mm-hmm. We're coming up to Finisterre, and about 400 square dancing Spanish fishing vessels. We're doing about 17 knots. And we call him Vasco, isn't it? I was first officer, I was senior watchkeeper. And we're coming up, and Vasco's on there. I said, Vasco, do me a favour, just be quiet. I was 28. I've got 8 years watchkeeping experience. And it's all relative movement. And by that time, you do it almost instinctively. And you know what fishing boats are like. They alter course, they do this, that, and the other. And we got through it, we didn't hit anything. Came through, and Vasco said, God, how did you do that? I said, Vasco, how long have you been watchkeeping? Well, 6 months, I said. In another 7.5 years, you'll do it just as well as me.
There's that experience.
There's
that experience.
He finished up as a pilot in Hartlepool.
Oh, there we are.
One of your cloth.
Sir Robin Knox Johnson, thank you very, very much for your time this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Our pilot launches are just around the corner, and you know, if ever you see me around, please do come and visit us. And
I will. I meet a few of you guys from time to time. You know, there's always a cheery wave.
Yeah, absolutely. But for the meantime, Robin, thank you very, very much for appearing on our podcast.
Thanks very much, Barry.